Sometimes a single day can totally change the game for a country's military. That's exactly what we're diving into today. A date in Indonesian history that didn't just get circled on the calendar. Nope, it kicked off a whole new era for their naval forces. Think about January 5th. For most of us, it's just, another day after New Year's, right? But in Indonesia, it's a huge deal. It's a date that's packed with national pride, especially for the military. So what's the story? What makes this one day so important? Well, it all comes down to some true pioneers of the sea. January 5th is the day they celebrate the anniversary of the Indonesian Navy Women's Corps. It's a day of honor for the incredible women who were the first to break through those barriers in the armed forces. And this groundbreaking group has a name, Kowal. It's short for Korpswanitaangkatanlaut. This is the official women's corps of the Indonesian Navy, and believe me, it was an institution that completely changed the face of the nation's defense. Okay, but a massive change like this doesn't just happen out of thin air, right? It always starts with a big idea, a vision. So who was the person, the forward thinker, who looked at the Indonesian Navy and said, you know what? There's a place for women here. That vision? It belonged to a man named Commodore Yos Sudarso. It was his idea, and back then, it was pretty radical that women didn't just have a place, but deserved a formal, recognized role right there in the Navy's ranks. And what's absolutely wild is just how fast this whole thing happened. I mean, check out this timeline. The idea gets floated in early 1962. By June, just a few months later, it's an official government decree. And then, get this, on January 5th, 1963, less than a year after it was just an idea, the first officers are actually being sworn in. That is an incredible lightning-fast pace. So that leads us right to the main event of this whole story. The historic inauguration of those very first female officers. This was it. This was the moment that the vision became real. And just look at that number, 12. That's it. A tiny, trailblazing group of just 12 women stood there ready to make history. They were about to become the very first female officers in the entire Indonesian Navy. And hey, this wasn't some small, quiet ceremony. No way. This was a full-blown, formal inauguration at the naval headquarters. And the person leading it? The Admiral himself, Laksamana Radinatha. Having him there sent a massive signal that this wasn't just some small change. This was a new chapter for the entire Indonesian Navy. All right, so these 12 pioneers are in. They're officially officers. But what were they actually supposed to do? Well, KOWOL was set up with this really interesting and very specific two-part mission. You can really break their mission down into two main jobs. First, fulfill naval duties. That makes sense. But the second part was just as critical. They had to engage with the community. Let's dig into that a bit because it's fascinating. On one side, yes, they performed naval tasks, specifically the jobs that were seen as suitable for women back then. But their other job was way more nuanced. They were basically ambassadors, tasked with building bridges with the public and with other women's organizations. And here's a really interesting detail. Part of their official duty was to preserve feminine values. It really gives you a snapshot of how people at the time were trying to figure out how military service fit with traditional gender roles. So you might be thinking, Okay, that's a cool story from the 60s, but why are we still talking about it today? Well, because it wasn't just a blip on the radar. It was the foundation of a legacy that is still a huge deal, celebrated and honored all these decades later.
And that's exactly why every single January 5th, the whole nation celebrates Kowal's anniversary. It's a day to officially recognize the strategic, absolutely essential role that women have played and still play in keeping Indonesia's maritime defense strong.
You can really feel that national pride in this patriotic salute to Kowal. It goes, Dirgahayu Kowal, Wanita Tianil Tanggu Berjiwa Saptamarga Selalu Siap Menjaga Lautan dan Kehormatan Negara, which, roughly translated, means something like, Long live Kowal, tough Navy women with the soul of the Saptamarga, that's the military sacred oath, always ready to protect the seas and the honor of the nation. Wow, pretty powerful stuff. So, it really leaves you with this thought, doesn't it? It all started with one person's vision and the courage of just 12 women. The real question isn't just about how they changed the Navy. It's about how that single, pioneering act still echoes today, shaping the very spirit of a nation. It just goes to show you that sometimes the smallest groups can end up charting the boldest new courses for everyone.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.